Have you ever heard of a turnaround so fast it just blows your mind? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. It's an incredible story about a young king who inherits an absolute crisis and somehow sparks this massive renewal that leaves everyone, well, completely stunned.
So to really get how big of a deal this was, you have to picture the situation King Hezekiah walked into. I mean, he's only 25 years old when he takes the throne, and the kingdom of Judah, it's a mess. It had completely lost its way. Its spiritual heart was just gone.
And Hezekiah himself puts it perfectly. He says, "Our parents were unfaithful." This wasn't just a case of forgetting to do some upkeep. No, this was deliberate. They literally shut the doors and put out the lamps in the most important place of worship in the whole nation.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. This spiritual decay wasn't happening in a vacuum. It had real-world, devastating consequences. Think about it. The temple doors are locked, and what happens? The nation suffers. Fathers are being killed in battle. Wives and children are being dragged off as captives. The entire kingdom was paying the price.
But Hezekiah, he doesn't waste a single second. No committees, no year-long studies. We're talking about the first month of his first year as king. He just gets to work. Talk about decisive leadership, right? Okay, so what's his first move? It's brilliant, actually. He doesn't make some big proclamation to the public. Instead, he goes straight to the spiritual leaders, the priests and the Levites. He knew that for this to work, the change had to start right at the top.
And his goal was crystal clear. He says, "I intend to make a covenant with the Lord so that his fierce anger will turn away from us." See, it wasn't just about unlocking some doors. It was about fixing a broken relationship. And he believed that would turn everything around for the entire nation. That's a powerful vision.
And his charge to them, it was so simple, but so direct. Just a few words. Do not be negligent now. He's basically drawing a line in the sand. The days of looking the other way were over. It was time to get serious.
So, with that charge given, the real work begins. And let me tell you, this was a monumental task. They had to completely purify and reconsecrate the entire temple, which had been basically trashed and abandoned for years.
And check out how fast they moved. Day 1, they get started. By day 8, just a little over a week, they've already cleaned all the way to the main entrance. And then, just 8 days after that, boom, the entire place is done. We're talking 16 days total for a massive cleanup. That is an all-out blitz.
So in just 16 days, they report back to the king. We've done it. The whole temple is purified. The physical part of the job was done. Now it was time for the spiritual part.
All right, so the temple is sparkling clean, but that's not the end goal, right? The whole point was to bring it back to life, to fill it with the sounds, the ceremonies, the spirit of worship that had been missing for so long.
And the way they did this was very specific and very powerful. It started with the king and all the officials gathering. Then they brought sin offerings, not for individuals, but for the whole kingdom. Priests made the sacrifices, and then, and this is a key part, the whole assembly laid their hands on the goats to atone for everyone. It was a massive, unified moment of saying, we messed up and we want to make it right.
And then comes this absolutely crucial moment. As that first offering is made, music fills the temple for the first time in who knows how long. And this wasn't just some random band. Hezekiah was deliberately bringing back the traditions started by King David himself, connecting this new beginning to the greatest time in their history. I mean, can you imagine the sound? You've got trumpets, cymbals, harps, lyres, the works. It must have been incredible. And as that music swells, the entire crowd, every single person, bows down in worship. It was this huge, powerful, sensory experience of coming home.
So after that big formal ceremony is done, Hezekiah does something really smart. He opens it up to everyone. He invites the people to bring their own sacrifices and offerings, and that's the moment this whole thing goes from a government project to a genuine grassroots movement.
And the people's response? It was absolutely off the charts. We're talking 70 bulls.
Then 100 rams. And 200 male lambs. And remember, this was all voluntary. The sheer scale of the people's enthusiasm was just mind-blowing.
But this created a really interesting problem. A good problem, but a problem nonetheless. The people were so generous, so eager to participate, that they literally overwhelmed the system. There were way more offerings than the priests could actually handle.
And this is such a fascinating little detail. The priests couldn't keep up, so who steps in? Their kinsmen, the Levites.
And the text gives us a reason why. It says the Levites were more conscientious in consecrating themselves. In other words, they were more dedicated and ready for the work when the moment came. It's a subtle but really powerful point about who is truly prepared.
So, after all this work, all this dedication, what's the end result? It's simple. Pure, unadulterated joy. A feeling that just swept across the entire nation.
And just like that, the mission was accomplished. The service of the temple was reestablished. Think about that. In a little more than 2 weeks, Hezekiah took this forgotten, locked-up building and turned it back into the beating heart of the nation.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. It says, Hezekiah and all the people rejoiced. Why? Well, because of what God had provided for them. And, here's the kicker, because it was done so quickly. It wasn't just that they fixed the problem. It was the incredible speed of the turnaround that felt like a miracle.
So this whole story leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What does it actually take for a community to pull off a massive renewal that fast? You've got clear leadership, a shared vision, and a ton of people ready to jump in and help. It makes you wonder, what are the key ingredients we need to make that kind of rapid, positive change happen in our own world?